That's James's dinner today. The vegan keto sushi made with Emerald City kraut and that Daiya fake cheese on Mexican stuff. Fried potatoes with Greek yogurt. Greek salad with the vegan feta. And that's for the birds. Spirulina grape smoothie and orange apple with a little bit of cacao. It looks like James is going to do a lot of talking about books today because I don't have much to talk about. I've already reviewed these things. I've just been watching them. If I don't have anything else to watch, it's good to put on some nature as far as I'm concerned. So
I prefer that actually to pretty well anything.
Yeah.
Put out by any Hollywood or off Hollywood or whatever. BBC garbage.
So this is my outfit for today. Pretty dress. And I guess I'll let James eat a minute and then I'll talk about this just to say, now of course you'd think it makes sense that I would put Green Planet on top. Even though I was saying the BBC Earth stuff, honestly, I would rather you press play all and you get to, I mean, some people might enjoy that. You get to watch the episode and then the behind the scenes with the camera people and look at our new equipment we have.
Well, that's kind of interesting.
Okay, well, James likes it. Maybe, yeah, so maybe others would too. But I would rather play all, I see the episodes, and then I can select if I want to do the bonus features of watching the...
It's a better way for me.
But I do like the Winnie the Pooh voice. And so, I don't know. They're enjoyable enough. I like the Green Planet, how they'll they have the plant stuff. Oh, the plant that walked, I think it was wild oats or something like that. It was some sort of a thing with an on and it had the little curve and so it would walk. The seed.
Nutrition.
Yeah. Anyway, because that was on the final episode of the Green Planet. I'd watched it before.
You'd seen it before.
But so I'd remembered, oh, something walks, and that's it. But I didn't remember which one. Anyway, but it's a seed. Very cute. So I love the time-lapse stuff in the Green Planet so that it makes you think of plants as just being really not even really living. You know, they're just there, and if you're a gardener who grows their own tomato seedlings in the window and you look at them in the evening and then you're like, you didn't seem to grow at all today, and then you look at them in the morning and you're like, oh, look at you grew. And so you get to learn a little more about how plants work, right? But anyway, you don't really, they live in such a different time than, you know, their sense of time is far different from ours, and it's hard to, I mean, we'll see nature videos, see a sloth and slowly, and it's hard to, you think, oh wow, that's cute, but it's hard to relate to other life forms that are totally in a different time, that they experience time so very differently. Or a hummingbird, you know, or whatever. I used to keep little finches around the house, and they're so wonderful.
They are.
And
yeah.
So I'd keep little finches, and you try to talk to them, and they move really fast. But because they live in a different time, they move more quickly. Things move more quickly for them. But and maybe James probably found this to be true. The gerbils that I had, gerbils are maybe more relatable because they seem to move in around the same time, you know.
Yeah, the gerbil was awesome.
Yeah.
One time he got loose, saw him out on the floor,
and
he was playing with a mouse.
Yeah, that's what it was. So he liked the mice, Anyway,
I never would have thought that.
but yeah, he was a good gerbil. So good.
That was a good mouse too. Shouldn't have been in the house though.
No, we shouldn't have been. So anyway, the Green Planet, they do the time-lapse stuff. So you can actually see them moving, and so it makes them more relatable, right? You can actually see them as, oh, well, they're living. Here they're moving. You know, you think of them as just like a lamp or a
Cat rock.
Yeah, but they're, and I mean the lithops are in there, but
Yeah, they are.
yeah, there's anyway, I love it. I love it. I can watch it over and over and over. So what I wanted to mention about this though is, luckily I had just watched, what was that, 1992, and the disc, oh boy, people, don't mess up the disc so badly. So it was messy, and so when I was about to put this one on, I thought, okay, I'll check it. And I looked, and it looked like it had been in a mud puddle. And I thought, what were people wanting to plant the disc and try to make all of the plants that they seem grow from the disc or something?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they had done with that. Crazy. So anyway, a lot of beautiful stuff in here. I like the way that they with the Green Planet, just in case you don't find the plants relatable, even though they're moving at, you know, a speed you can actually see now. You can see that they actually do move and whatever. They still had little animals in there, and they're sweet, you know. So I don't know, they probably just take footage from elsewhere of an animal looking surprised or whatever, you know, like, oh, here comes that cacti, that teddy bear cactus, or the or whatever. Oh, I better watch out for that. Or, you know, so, but I like that too. I like the little clips of the animals. And anyway, so that's all I really had to. Boy, they really want your spirulina. They're going after it like crazy. So, which is very good for a person who drinks spirulina. And this powder that I got, before I got the regular spirulina powder, and honestly it tastes bad. I was in a university class and there was a young guy, and I shouldn't have said anything, because here he was, a lovely young person who, a lot of young people, they're really hopeful about everyone can switch to a vegan diet and the world's going to be just great, you know. And so he's like, spirulina will feed the world, and he was so excited about spirulina, and I said, good luck convincing people to eat it or drink it though, you know, like it tastes terrible. But this powder, somebody had put like tropical fruit flavor or something mixed in it, and it doesn't affect the net carbs or anything. So I don't know, it seems just fine. So it's a Organica brand, and it's but keep an eye out for that. I didn't bring the package out. I've shown it before. I didn't expect that. I expected the same spirulina that I had gotten in the past, and I was like, well, you know, whatever, it's going to be healthy. But then I tasted it, and I'm like, wow, that's delicious. So it's, yeah, James' smoothie is just that spirulina powder, water, and grapes. Is it? And this one is mandarin orange and apple and water. And some cacao in it too. But and he seems to be liking that one because he's going after it more. But maybe he just hasn't tried the spirulina with the grapes yet today. Anyway, I guess James went after the fried potatoes first. He loves those. And
Only make some barrels.
well, they're very easy to make. The perfect fried potatoes, you just bake potatoes, and then you put them in the fridge, and you have them around in the fridge. And then when you're ready to make fried potatoes, then you slice them up and melt your virgin coconut oil in the pan. And it's best if you have some garlic too, and some salt and pepper. But I didn't put the salt and pepper because he's going to get enough sodium from these little sushis along here because of the Emerald City kraut. So, and also this Daiya cheddar sauce, whatever, spread stuff, it's high in sodium. Yeah, So he's going to get enough sodium, so I did not
Yeah,
put that there.
and,
And he's going to have enough flavor.
The potatoes taste plenty fine. I'm not even noticing that they don't have the salt. And I've got a
And well, he has
taste
some
the salt.
sodium in the Kalamata olives too.
Yeah, exactly right.
In the vegan feta. So, yeah. And so what are we talking about today, James?
I started introducing this the other day, long time ago. Benjamin Franklin, the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think Benjamin Franklin was a swinging dude, and that sort of stuff might be a little disappointing. I don't, and also people who are of the Christian persuasion, I don't think he was terribly much into religion. I seem to be kind of like an agnostic or something like that. But you read about his life, and he was a worker. Well, he was a capitalist, but he was a worker too. And so he started several businesses, and they were a success. He took over businesses that were failing, and they were a success. And, I mean, in some ways, it's almost like reading the book of Proverbs without the stuff about beating your kids, sparing the rod, spoiling the child, and stuff like that. It's basically telling you, well, it would almost seem like boasting, but okay. Anyway, one of the founders of the United States, I think some of the flunkies he was from the north, and he's from Philadelphia more than any other place. Some of the founding fathers of the United States have been more sensible like him. I'm talking about mainly the idiots from the South who allowed slavery to happen and continue for almost 100 years after the United States got independence. The U.S. would be a whole lot better off now because there's a lot of idiots, flying. They've even got Confederate flags up here in Canada. The United States, the 51st state. And, you'll hear people saying, the South will rise again. Yeah, why? Because, like you had all these poor white trash, white guys, kids of white guys, and they had no slaves. And maybe 1/10 of the population had all of the slaves. And so you had all these poor white guys fighting so that these rich idiots, critters of leisure, could sit back on the porches of their big mansions, living the aristocratic lifestyle in the United States. Old world values, European old world values, and well, even worse, because the Europeans have basically given up on slavery until the Spaniards and the Portuguese hit the New World and decided they were going to consult with the experts on slavery at that point in time, and that was, of course, Muslims. You can be skeptical and all that sort of stuff. Don't be cynical. Check it up to find out that the Portuguese wanted to find out about plantation slavery, and they went to Egypt to get expertise on it. The Europeans had basically given up on slavery by that point in time. So you can scoff and call me names on the internet or whatever, or under your breath, or yell and scream it. Doesn't change the fact. Okay? Can't change the fact. Anyway, and he was a bit of a scientist too. Apparently discovered the connection between electricity and lightning. It doesn't seem shocking now, but it's because of folks like him that these connections were made. Like a lot of people will say about Louis Armstrong, hey, listen to him play horn, it's nothing. He's no John Coltrane or or any variety of these guys, Dizzy Gillespie. But he's the one who started the whole thing off. Would it have happened without him? Maybe, I don't know. It would have been different. Jazz. Not that I like jazz very much. I don't like the idea of improvisation for improvisation's sake. I do like having performers having a little bit of leeway when they're singing, but generally with black singing or African American singing, it is way too much improvisation, especially nowadays. Motown came up with a pretty good formula, like everything's kind of cut and dried, and then you got a singer kind of, it sounds as though singing live, Marvin Gaye and stuff like that, Smokey Robinson, but you can actually hear what they're saying. They're not throwing in an excess of extra syllables, melisma it's called, and maybe there's only a modicum of oohs and ooh-ees and all that sort of stuff. I mean, in many ways, when you're singing, you should be trying to render the way people talk. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, even the most excitable people. Can you imagine if, ooh-wee, yeah, I'm really having, wow, ooh, ah, ooh, yeah. Like I don't like it in poetry when there's some of the older stuff, oh, ah, or whatever. In Motown, what was that?
Low.
Yeah, lo and behold, or whatever. That's an exclamation too. So it's probably short for look, eh? But maybe not. Anyway, it comes somewhat recommended, not highly recommended, and I almost consider that philosophy, ethical philosophy or something like that. Anyway, some people consider it a classic. Drapa, when I previewed it, I said drape or something like that. I said, no, I had a while to think about it. The next day I said, no, I think it's cognate with the English word drub, and it means murder, right? In Icelandic. So this is in the original Icelandic, and it's about a murder that happened in real life. This isn't the form to do something like that. So it's, like these stories have to be told. Every woman that gets murdered by a man, the story has to be told. And there's way too much of it happening. And we've got to come up with means of dealing with the scumbags who don't just murder women, but who are beating them up, even threatening them with physical violence and stuff like that. We've got to get them before, like when Nicole Simpson was sent to hospital thumped and ended up in hospital by O.J. Simpson. He should have been in jail. He shouldn't have been out and about and allowed to kill her and her boyfriend, Golden, whatever his name was. We've got to have.
Yeah, the murder could have been prevented had the previous crimes actually been dealt with.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Now there was an extra problem there. I mean, I think this was L.A. police. I think they used to live in Brentwood, and the problem with the police, the L.A. police, wasn't that they were against O.J. They were against her, or they were for O.J.
Yeah, they would have been found.
They were, football. Wow. Up here in Canada.
Well, he was like Superman to a lot of people.
When I was a kid, I worshipped him.
Yeah.
As much as I could worship anything.
Well,
but,
sure.
Yeah, he was my favorite football player, even when he going back to college, 2 years of college, and then I think I saw him in the Rose Bowl 2 years ago. And then when he became an NFL player, he set the record over 2,000 yards. One game in Buffalo, they got one of those weird snowstorms that they get, and I can remember him just running all over the place. I'm going, wow, this guy's crazy good, but only good as a football player. He's a bad guy. He's basically running a gang when he was a teenager, back in wherever he came from, San Francisco or something like that. He's a bad guy, and he should have just been in jail. And if abusers are threatening women, they should be in jail for life. If they keep on threatening women and stuff like that, because isn't that awful? No. If they're out and about, the women that they're threatening are in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's worse because it's a potential death sentence for the women. And there should be no sentence for not getting along with scumbags. Well, anyway, this is not the form to do this sort of stuff, and it should be done in documentary style if it's a film, or like reporterage or so on and so forth. And I don't know if it's even I don't know if there should be much artistry involved. I mean, you could tell a story, like doing true crime stories are, I don't know, maybe, like novels, maybe something creepy about them. I got Lolita set aside, went through it the second time. I keep trying to read it and find the artistry that's supposed to be there. I think some people consider Nabokov, Vladimir, is that his first name? Nabokov to be one of the great English stylists. Weirdly enough, he wrote successful novels in Russian. Russian was his native language. But I just don't find that book that good. I'll have to get hold of some of his Russian stuff, see what it's like. Try to read it in the original. So this is in poetic style. It seems as though it claims to be in the prosody that's somewhat traditional for Icelandic poetry, and I haven't looked really hard at it, but I'm not finding it. I'm not finding patterns of alliteration. I see some alliteration, but I don't find patterns. Oh well, maybe I'll find it. I warned you that I gave a preview of this. The Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, or Logico-Philosophicus, you don't mispronounce it. More than I mispronounce it. I finished sometime in June. I left a blank for the date. I lost track of the date. Anyway, I finished it this last month. And I've warned you that I'm going to go through, if you're a big fan of this sort of stuff at Winston, I'm going to go through it. Every little paragraph, I'm going to find out what's wrong with it. He was just misguided. He realized, I think, eventually that he was misguided and came up with something. It's called philosophical investigation. It's almost like a retreat from some of the extreme views to be found in that, trying to turn language into almost like a computer language or something like that. Language doesn't work that way. He's kind of saying in there things like, well, there's we're looking for one clear meaning for a word. What? Let's look at the word mean. What does that mean in English? What does it mean? Well, we got mean, we got a mean, we got someone who is mean, and stuff like that. Languages aren't pure. You can't make logical languages out of them. Pure logical languages. It's as silly as a fool's game. And really, outside of mathematics, doing any advances in the sciences, stuff like that, is based on inductive logic, and that's not mathematical inductive logic. That is like an inductive proof. It's basically based on experience and experiment. Experiment if you can control factors well enough. Like applying, getting deductive logic, using it in science and stuff like that in real life outside of mathematics is just a fool's game. You can let a fool like Wittgenstein or Bertrand Russell, for much of his career, do that kind of stuff. Gottlob Frege and a variety of other chimps. But it's a waste of time. And the big trouble is, the more theoretical the science, the more deductive it tends to be. So I'm reminded of this one book I got hold of from the university out there in the physics section, the University of Lethbridge, and what they say right in the introduction is, well, this part of the science is so well established, we're just going to have a deductive approach. In other words, all the assumptions are there. 5 minutes?
3.5.
3 minutes. Off by a minute and a half. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, in the introduction, they say we're just going to have a deductive approach here. So the assumptions, basically the foundations of it, are stuff that's taken to be proved. Oh yeah, theoretical physics, and don't talk to me about that. We won't get onto Marina and Lee. Eventually I'll get around to it, along with a lot of other books. We were talking about what's her name? I'm thinking of Alice Monroe, but not Margaret Lawrence. Atwood. Margaret Atwood. Peggy is friends seem to call her. And if you want to actually read some poetry, and not fake poetry, i.e. free verse, you'd be better served going with Leonard Cohen. He does write short prose pieces. That's what Margaret Atwood made her so-called poetic career of, is writing short. Can't really call them lyric pieces. Lyric means to be accompanied by a lyre, right? You want to set that stuff to music, go ahead. Don't waste your time. And then I've gone through already, what soundtrack of the 60s? Song classics of the 60s. Most of them aren't very classic. Some of them weren't even, that got in there weren't even anything like big hits, but they got Sonny and Cher, The Beat Goes On, and I Got You, Babe. The beat goes on, so I might analyze some of them. It only has one chord. It bored me even as a kid. Stupid sentiments. I don't know what happens when people start doing politics, particularly artsy kind of people, artsy, smartsy kind of people. It's just like they turn their minds off and they start doing cheerleader chants. And nothing wrong with cheerleader chants, but therefore for high school or whatever, junior high, I mean elementary school. An elementary school approach to high school athletics. Well, I Got You, Babe actually even has a chord change in it. And one of the few chord changes in a pop song. I can only think of one other that actually, no, I can think of two others. One is Layla, and one is, another is Penny Lane by the Beatles, that sound kind of functional or organic, that seem to make sense within the context of the song. Layla, it's used, the chord changes, or the key changes, I should say, not chord changes. Key changes are used very well. Not what you expect from Eric Clapton.